What's up, guys? Welcome to a new episode of Talking Figures. As always, I am Tony. Guys, I'm extremely happy to sit down with this guy, not only from a collector standpoint, but from as a general fan. You can catch him on a ton of podcasts on the YouTubes. That includes, but is not limited to, Are You Garbage, Legion of Skanks, B&E and with Jordan, The Tim Dillon Show, and of course, his own podcast, Friday Night Greg. He has a comedy special on his YouTube channel, simply titled Nobody Presents Greg Stone, which might be one of my favorite titles of a comedy special ever.
Thanks.
That's on his YouTube channel at Greg Stone. If you want to see some of his comedy clips, you can go over to his Instagram at Greg F. Stone. And if you like what you see and you want to see if he's in a city near you, you can go onto his website at gregfstone.com, and there you'll see all his dates. He's a video gamer, he's a comedian, and he's addicted to toys just like the rest of us. Please welcome to the program the very funny, the very talented Greg F. Stone. What's up, bud?
What up, dogs? I can just throw this in real quick because I have to. So September 11th, my new podcast comes out. It's called Welcome to Talktown.
Hell yeah.
I just need to tell people that because I'm excited because I'm not really doing Friday Night Greg anymore. But I also have to ask you this, and this is just uncomfortable, but I'm going to say it. I'm just going to open up. Yeah. I just realized I don't know your name. I know you from Legend series.
Yeah.
I mean, I know your Instagram handle, but now I'm looking at you and I'm like, that's not his fucking name. I don't know this guy's real name.
My name is Tony.
Tony. I mean, I can tell you're Tony.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You're definitely a New York Italian Gavone. I can smell it on you.
100%.
Where do you live?
I'm originally from Queens. I currently live in Newburgh, New York now.
Nice. I live in Astoria.
Oh, nice, dude. Okay.
Yeah.
So, you're a neighbor, babe, pretty much.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I get it. It's so funny that, like, it's not to try to be just, I mean, I'll just, I don't know how to say this. Like, I'll just say yes to anything. I always say yes to anything.
Yeah.
So when you messaged me, I just went, yeah, of course I'll do it. But I never looked at anything. I was like, who knows what this is going to be? And I saw some, and I like the idea of not looking at whose podcast I'm going to be on. And that will eventually bite me in the ass when I end up on some like white supremacist podcast. I had no idea. Careful. But right now I'm still unfamous enough that I can just do this. And I love to talk about toys. So I rarely get to do that.
You've come to the right place because that's what this is all about. This is just an action figure based podcast. I am new to the action figure YouTube. I come from the pro wrestling world.
Fun.
That's where I'm from. I used to be a pro wrestler, then I got hurt, and now I have a production company that basically does all the independents in New York and stuff.
Could you hook me? I got a dream.
What's up?
I have a small dream.
Okay, I'm listening.
I always wanted to commentate wrestling. Can I put on a wrestling? Could we put on a wrestling show where I can commentate?
Yes.
A wrestling show?
Yes.
Or just be someone's manager for a day?
Absolutely.
But I do want to commentate wrestling. How do we do that? Can we do that? We could talk off camera.
Yeah, we can definitely make that happen.
Really?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You know Anthony DeVito? He's my best friend. He's a comedian as well. Great comedian. Okay. But my dream is for us to commentate a live wrestling show together.
Okay.
And I feel like it would be a blast.
Listen, buddy, I'm in the process because I used to run a wrestling company as well.
Mm-hmm.
We're in the process of bringing it back up in this area because there's not really much wrestling up in this area.
Mm-hmm.
So I do need commentators.
Yeah.
I do need, so I can, if you're interested, we can definitely talk.
100%. It would be the most fun thing ever. I commentated a Hogwarts. It was a Hogwarts game. What was that game with the witches stick?
Yeah, okay. Quidditch or some shit.
Yeah, it was like 14-year-olds playing Quidditch for like it was like a whole like league. So it was like 9-hour day, and we went and we commentated on the whole thing, and I was like, oh, this is like the most fun.
That's awesome, dude.
But wrestling would be so much better.
Like I've crossed paths with a few comedians because of pro wrestling. Zach Amico, because he was on Catalyst, and we did all the production for Catalyst. So I've crossed paths with comedians, and it always seems to me that stand-up comedy and pro wrestling, there's very striking similarities between the two in terms of the traveling that everybody has to do, the shit pay that everybody gets, and just eating shit for a very long time until you finally, either find your niche or catch a break. I noticed that there's a lot of similarities when it comes to wrestling and stand-up comedy.
Dude, that hit me one day, and it's kind of what made me stop watching wrestling. I kind of stopped watching wrestling because I realized how much my business has fucked me up, right?
Yeah.
Like the road and whatever. and how you have these bookers who just treat you like shit and all the
Uh-huh.
tiny bosses. No one, and then I just look at these wrestlers and I'm like, yo, man, they've been getting these people are dying for a business that doesn't respect them. It's like I don't know if I
Mm.
could support this anymore because I
Yeah,
love
no,
wrestling, but I hate like yeah, we only see the famous guys. You don't
uh-huh.
see the medium guys who retire and they have no other skills and they have no health insurance and they
Fact.
they went out doing their dream and it didn't work out and there's nothing to fall back on and now their
Mhm.
backs are broken. Now they're trying to do toy podcasts. You know what I mean? Like the one, and it's kind of upsets me. That's kind of what like turned me off a little bit with. Well, then now Vince is left, so now I'm kind of like, well, maybe it'll be better.
I mean, if you haven't seen it, it is getting better and from an entertainment standpoint. For a while, it was dog shit,
Yeah, yeah,
but it is getting better. Like, Triple H, he's a good storyteller, always was.
mm,
So he seems to righting the ship, I guess, so to speak.
yeah,
And some of the stuff they're doing with NXT, bringing in TNA, so they're working together now.
yeah.
So that's pretty interesting stuff. It's not Listen, independent wrestling sucks. I will tell you this because you don't like it's you beat the shit out of your body
Right.
for literally. When I tell you hot dog and a handshake, that's like they say that a lot in wrestling, but that's literally like it actually happens.
Yeah, no,
I've
I'm
been a
sure.
part of it. I've seen it happen, and like you do it because you love it. Like I think at the end of the day, when I talk to guys, when it's a wrestler, whether they come on this show or I talk to guys all the time, they always tell me I do this because I love it, man. There's nothing else that gives me that adrenaline or the dopamine hit
Oh, of
like
course.
this,
It's the
So
same thing as comedy. It's the same thing as
yeah,
my job. It's the same thing.
yeah,
I mean, we just don't have to hurt ourselves. We just die from well, they die from drugs too, but it's
drugs, yeah.
mostly just I actually have a
I,
dream.
I would
What?
say that you get hurt from emotionally though, right? It hurts you guys like when you bomb or some shit. I would assume, right? I
I
mean,
mean, yeah, I mean, what hurts now is
yeah,
like if I put up a clip, I have to deal with 500 people or messages. Like here's the thing, right? Here's a nerdy
yeah.
thing I did. I like to get high and go on uh, Instagram or Twitter
Okay,
and just tweet things or whatever, which is I kind of not like doing anymore. I go on Threads,
okay,
and I'm a huge Star Wars fan, and I just saw one tweet that said, um, the sequels are great movies, blah blah blah. And I just wrote, man, the sequels are just not good movies, right? Oh, it was said
yeah,
something that was like, if you like the sequels, you're a racist or something. And that was a tweet. And I was like, no, that's not true. Like the
yeah,
sequels are bad movies. And I wrote my whole thing about being like, Luke Skywalker, they ruined Luke Skywalker. This is why I
yeah.
don't like
They
those
did.
movies. I like all the actors. I like where they came from. They even not letting John Boyega hook up um with Ray to me was like, what? Why did you do that? That's like I didn't like those movies at all because they ruined Luke
Yeah.
Skywalker. I thought that was it. I open my phone up. I see this retweet. Some woman writes, right wing comedians think this is funny. And like, I am not a right wing
No,
comedian at all, right?
no.
Like, I don't classify myself as any political stance because I think that's like a whole thing. It's like,
Yeah.
I used to be straight edge. And because I was straight edge, I was afraid to do anything that wasn't straight edge. So my whole thing is I don't put myself in categories anymore because once you're in a category, you kind of stick to it. I think that's a problem.
Mm,
Anyway, she
yeah,
writes this
yeah.
right wing thing, and I got about 75 hate tweets and
Jesus.
people going through my tweets and trying to find the ones that look offensive. And one of the ones I had was it said, my birthday is June 19th, right? And my
Oh, okay.
son's birthday is June 18th. And so I just had some tweet that was like, man, June is gay pride month. June 19th is Juneteenth. It's my birthday. My son's birthday is on the June 18th. So I guess I'll just go fuck myself then, right? But if you read it like that, you go, it's like tongue in cheek. Like
Yeah,
way more important things are happening
yeah,
than my birthday, right?
yeah, yeah.
But she retweeted that as
Oh,
like,
Jesus.
look at this Nazi whatever. And then it was just a barrage of people going through it, hating me, whatever. And I'm like, man, fuck all you people. Like,
For
and
real.
and when I signed up for comedy, I didn't sign up for that. I
No,
didn't
yeah, yeah.
fucking sign up for the insane amount of comments and mean shit that it doesn't really bother me as much anymore. But I am at a point now where I'm just like, I don't want to deal with it. So
Yeah,
I
yeah.
won't put out a joke because I don't want to deal with it. Right? It's
Yeah,
like I don't
yeah,
want
yeah.
to deal with I don't want to be on my phone. I don't want to have to defend myself. I just want to fucking make jokes. So
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
kind of where it hurts now, if anything. And
I
yeah, that's
I
it.
can't imagine that, dude. Well, listen, I'm an absolute nobody. I never really made it in the wrestling business. Like I was, an independent guy, got hurt on the job, not even in the ring,
Mhm,
and then that was it for me. So I never ascended to a level where tweets would become a problem.
mhm,
You know what I'm saying?
mhm.
So I couldn't imagine where you would have to fear now putting up a joke because now you got to worry about all the backlash coming afterwards if someone finds it offensive or some shit.
Right, and it's not even like offensive because the people who usually take this stance are the
Yeah.
people who are like, "I wanna say the N word." It's like, "No, I don't wanna do that. I
Yeah.
just wanna put up a joke." Like, okay, here's a joke I had, and it's just a joke. It was a
Yeah.
trans joke where I said, um, the whole joke was, I was talking to a guy who was like, "If I hooked up with a chick and found out she was a guy, I would freak out because I ain't gay." And my joke was, "Yeah, man, that doesn't make you gay. That's a
Yeah.
man, that's a woman who at one time was a man. I'm a man who at one time was a boy. If you hooked up with me, you wouldn't be a pedophile, right?" That was a joke. That's a joke. Not only do I get a barrage of people just being like the right wing people who were like, "That's
Yeah.
a man, fuck you." Then I get the super far left people who are like, "She was always a woman." And I'm like, "Hey man, stop it." Right? I'm on
Yeah.
your side. I'm just writing a fucking joke.
Joke.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And it's like, I don't want to deal with any of you people. The right and the left are like mad at me on this.
Fucking
I'm
crazy,
like,
man.
"Get the fuck out of here."
That's absolutely crazy. Well, then let's get to something more simpler.
Can I
Let's get to
pause?
action figure.
I
Yeah,
have
sure.
one thing I just wanna add about
Sure.
wrestling before we move on.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
2 things real quick. My uncle, it's like my dad's cousin kinda thing. My real
Okay.
last name is Coraluzzo. My Stone
Okay.
is my mom's name. I use Stone for, comedy for whatever I started. I didn't want people to track me.
Yeah.
But my uncle, my dad's cousin, was this guy, Dennis Coraluzzo, who was a huge wrestling promoter,
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that was
And
before your time,
NWA.
NWA and all
Yeah.
this. I met him
Yeah.
in a break. I remember meeting him. I don't to me, I loved him. I met him like 5 or 6 times, and he took
Yeah.
us to wrestling matches. I was a little kid. But I remember he looked at me one day and he said, "Look, don't ever mention my name if you're around ECW." And I don't know what
Mm,
that means, but I
yeah.
guess, like, I don't know, man, like, maybe he fucked a bunch of people over, maybe they hate him. Like, I get it's the same promo I don't know if he was a good guy,
Yeah.
bad guy, but he was,
I
like, amazing to me.
They never got the whole story about it, but all I remember was when Shane Douglas threw the NWA belt down and proclaimed the ECW belt
Yeah.
as the NBA. Basically, ECW broke away from NWA,
Mhm.
and it got very ugly between
Oh, yeah,
between
right.
Dennis and the other guy. I always forget the other guy's fucking name. But the other guy that stayed with ECW, but then eventually left. So
Right.
it was a whole thing. But yeah, I remember it was like 1994 that shit happened.
Something. And okay, and the second
Yeah.
thing I wanna say is my dream for wrestling,
Yeah.
if you said, "Greg, you're in charge of wrestling now,"
Okay.
I would be like, I would get and I'm sure people have pushed this before, but I don't see why you wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
There needs to be seasons.
I see what
WrestleMania
you're talking about.
WrestleMania needs to be the Super Bowl, and then we take 5 months off or 3
Mm.
months off and bring people back. It's better for business in the way that 1, you're resting your guys.
Yeah.
2, better story building, right? Imagine you have the end, it's like, this guy got the champ, now you gotta wait till the next Marvel movie, essentially, like, you have to
Yeah.
wait till the next whatever. Then there's like, well, then they'll say things like, "Well, we can't take the time off for money." Well, no, during those 3 or 4 months, that's when you start running what's it called? 318, whatever those the it wasn't 318. What was it called? The lightweight, the cruiserweight guys
Oh,
and
okay, yeah,
your
that's,
NXT,
205 Live or whatever the fuck
sure,
it was, yeah, yeah, yeah,
205, NXT. Let NXT be those 3 or 4 months, and then
yeah,
imagine you're watching NXT and then the champ like the actual, John Cena actually shows up instead of being like
yeah,
off. Dude, it would make storytelling so much better. It would also save fucking lives. So
it
I
would,
just don't believe in burning these guys to the ground.
yeah, because I think that's the big issue is the consistency. Although they have cooled it with the house shows, I don't think they do those much anymore. I mean, they still do them, but it's not as brutal as the schedule used to be. I think they give them a lot more time off, but I think it's because the business has moved so fast.
Yeah,
Because guys now go at 100 miles an hour. I mean, I see it all the time in the Indies. They do not stop. It's just 100 miles an hour until the bell rings, until the
yeah,
bell rings again. So when you go that fast and all the high risk,
yeah,
your body just can only do so much for so long before it just starts to kind of be like enough is enough. And I've
right,
seen so many times, so many goddamn injuries where I just told guys like, if you would just slow down.
right.
Like there was a reason why Hogan could work 350 days a year because he didn't do shit in the ring. Like you got to understand that. Like it's about working the crowd.
Mhm.
Like I I train some guys,
Mhm.
but I only do it from a charismatic standpoint, which is like promos and shit. Because I tell guys like you can learn moves; it's just repetitions.
Right,
Get in
right.
the ring, and you practice your moves. You can't learn like charisma. Like you guys either don't want to, or it's unteachable for some reason because trainers don't teach it. So
I you Go
I
ahead,
started to
sorry.
kind of teach it. I started to be like, yo, come to me and we'll write promos out. We'll talk about your personality, where you want to take the character. Because I learned that from studying what Triple H was doing in NXT. And
Right.
I noticed nobody's doing that anywhere. And that's a problem because these guys, they're beating the shit out of themselves because they think they have to, because they want to be the most athletic guy
Mhm.
instead of the most entertaining guy. And I think
Right.
that's a big problem in the wrestling business. But that off season is not a bad idea for this style of wrestling because they would need the 5 month break so their body could heal up.
Well, a few things I would say about, um, comedy versus wrestling in that aspect.
Yeah.
When you do stand up every day, um, all these young comics, they want to like do it every day. You got to do it every day, 3 times a night, 4 times, 5 sets. As I'm older now, I realize it's like, no, 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 no. You're not. You need days off
Mm,
to think. And
yeah.
if you're just
Yeah.
doing the same set, you don't have time to grow. Dude, if
Yeah.
you took 3 months off, you can sit and be like, all right, what do I want to do with my character now?
Hmm.
What did I do? What did I do? Let me watch the tapes. Let me see how I
Hmm.
can improve. You
Yeah.
need that time off. I
That would be
really,
brilliant.
I really think it would just. Also, I do think you can to some people, you can teach charisma because I think every fucking wrestler should take a UCB class.
I
Improv,
agree.
yes, anding.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I've seen comics who just like straight up autistic, mentally not able to talk to human beings, learn how to find their own charisma on stage.
On stage. Yeah.
Like you don't have to be.
Yeah.
Not everyone's The Rock, especially if you look at like comedians. You go, some of these comedians are like, "How are you doing?" Like you just have to be the most yourself and
Hmm.
let that come out. And I do
Yeah.
think a lot of that comes with rest.
It does. Yeah. Man, that's what I tell wrestlers a lot of the times. Like, yo, man, you just gotta find your your best personality trait.
Mhm,
Turn it up to 100. That's a baby face.
mhm,
So like if you want to like be friendly, then that's your babyface character. But then you have to what's the opposite side of the spectrum? That's usually how you do heel. That's kind of where I base it with them. Think about the worst thing you could possibly do, and I give them a scenario.
mhm,
Well, how would you respond to that in the worst possible way?
mhm.
And they tell me, and I go, okay, so then that's what you base your heel persona off of, the worst part of you,
Now, are
and
you
you just
talking
turn it up.
about them writing their stories or just their on
Characters,
stage?
character base. So I'm
So
always telling them like, you got to be able to swing both ways.
mhm,
So if I go to one promotion one week, the following week they might want me to be a babyface, so I can be
sure.
here a heel here, white hot heel. But then I go to this place in Rhode Island, let's say, and now nobody knows me there, so
Mhm.
they're like, we want you to be a babyface here. So I always tell guys, you always got to be able to kind of identify the personality traits. So look at yourself,
Right, right,
and how
right.
do you want the character to answer those things? Not you. You should always hang up the character at the door when you're done wrestling. A lot of times wrestlers can't do that neither. That's a big fucking problem. But like you got to be able to hang that shit up and just be
Mhm.
you. So when you come into it's like punching in, punching to work. Now you're this new guy. So who's this new guy? How's he gonna respond?
See, that's the thing with wrestling and
Yeah,
comedy that a big problem of myself was when I started doing comedy, it was all about truth, truly
yeah,
being who myself was. But the reality is like, nah, man, I have to be a character on stage.
mm-hmm,
Now he is 90% like me off stage, but I have to be the most myself on stage.
mm-hmm.
But what that does is it allows me to say things on stage that I might not say in person,
Yeah,
right? It
yeah,
allows me to be a little more confident or arrogant
yeah.
because off stage, I'm like, no, I'm sorry. I would say the person who I am on stage is more me than off stage. But what I get jealous about wrestlers is like, oh, you get to just fully be a character, like just
Mm-hmm.
fully be like, now I'm going to be completely something else. Um,
Yeah.
and sorry, I'm just blabbing really
No,
fast.
no, dude, I love it. Listen, I could talk about wrestling for hours.
the
I've grown up in it. I worked and I mean for almost 30 years now. So
Wow.
I've been around it for a very long time. So I get lost in wrestling conversation for hours, man. It doesn't bother me at all. But I think you guys, a lot of comedians, when I see you guys, I think a lot of you guys would flourish in pro wrestling. A lot of yous.
Oh, I think so too. It's
Yeah.
crazy to me that they're not doing both.
I'm
Um,
shocked.
uh,
Still, I'm very shocked about that.
UCB used to do this Upright Citizens Brigade, which is like improv.
Yeah,
Just
yeah,
it's a improv school and theater in New York. They used to do this wrestling show where it was just improvisers wrestling, and the wrestling was, it was like a fake
yeah,
punch and like a move. They weren't wrestlers at all, but it was all character, and it
yeah,
was so funny. And because like with wrestling, that's the thing too. Is it like I know you guys have to kind of keep it serious because you
yeah,
love it. But when
yeah.
comedians are doing it, we're going to be as obnoxious and silly as
Yeah,
possible. And it was so funny. But
yeah,
there's a medium.
yeah,
There's a crossover there that if you
yeah.
could meet, that it could be so good. I
Oh,
don't know
I mean,
why
you could kill it.
comedians. Yeah, I don't know why comedians aren't commentating or improvisers aren't
No, I don't. I
commentating
don't know.
wrestling.
There are a few guys like when I saw the I don't know how long ago it was when it was. I think it was Skank Fest when they had the wrestling show there, and Luis J Gomez wrestled or got beat up
Oh, I don't.
by somebody. I don't remember who it was because it was a very long time ago.
Mhm.
But like when I saw that, like I think Ari Shafir was a part of it too. There was a bunch of comedians that were there and they were in the ring, and it was like a whole segment that they did. And I immediately thought to myself, like, this has to be more. We have to see this more
Mhm.
because I think comedians are literally bred for wrestling because the way you guys uh, uh, basically, like you said, you turn your personality traits up to a 10, and you're basically your most
Dude,
raw self. I think it works. I'm sorry, I know it sounds crazy, but I think all
no.
you have to do is learn the athletic shit, which isn't bad. It's just repetitions. It's like football, basketball. And practice makes perfect. I could see a lot of comedians making it. I honestly could.
There's a guy, Dan Barry. Dan
Yeah, I
Barry.
remember Dan. I know
Dan,
Dan.
great guy,
Yeah,
great comedian.
yeah, yeah,
He was a comedian, and he
yeah.
did. And who was, in my opinion, I bet you'll come along. Who was the greatest announcer in wrestling of all time? Who would you say? But then also, I don't know,
Are you saying announcer is in announcing to the ring or a
rest,
commentator?
wrestling and commentator.
Commentator?
Yeah,
It would probably be for me. It would always be Gorilla Monsoon and Bobby the Brain Heenan.
Bob. I see. I go Bobby the Brain, and
Yeah,
you're going to tell me that
yeah.
guy's not a comedian? That guy's not an
Oh yeah.
improviser?
Oh, he had
That guy
comedic timing.
was so unbelievably funny,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
everyone acts like he was this amazing thing, which he was.
yeah,
But in comedy, I know 50 of those guys.
yeah.
I'm not saying like that sounds like I'm taking down Bobby the Brain because to me he is the greatest of all time, and I would never
I,
act like I
I
could
I totally understand what you're
be as
saying,
good
though.
as him. But
Yeah,
I can get some guys who, if he's a 10, I can get a couple of sevens. I can
yeah,
pull you a couple of sevens to be fucking hilarious. Also, like comedy, the matches. I'll
yeah,
take an hour and write so many jokes that I will just slip in,
yeah,
that aren't like bam, 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 but like, this fucking guy's got brains. This guy's got soup for brains or some shit. Like I would write these stupid ideas and we're writers,
yeah, yeah.
you know.
I honestly think that. Listen, I'm gonna hold you to the commentary thing. We're gonna talk
Yeah.
for real because, like I said, I'm in the process of working some things out, and I would love to have that kind of presence at my shows.
So
I'll tell you
so
right now, it's not going to be sellout arenas, but it's starting from the ground up. And listen, I can probably talk to other promotions if you really want to kind of try that. If you want
dude,
to try
the
that
thing,
avenue, I can definitely help you.
not that I don't know the laws and the rules. There's
Yeah,
another thing I don't understand is why are these things not live streamed? I mean, like
they are.
we
They
could
are
l
now.
Oh, they are?
They're
Okay.
starting now. Yeah, because that was a big thing for my production company was we had to start getting all the equipment to produce live events.
Mhm,
So like the House of Glory down in Queens.
mhm.
That we do that one every month. That's live to Fight TV, I think it is. That's where they go live now. They all go live to
Dude,
Fight.
we could do it on my YouTube page,
Yeah,
and, like,
yeah,
like, they would have, not my YouTube page isn't huge, you know what I'm saying? But, like,
yeah.
that's a way to promote that's a whole other thing.
Mhm.
I mean, I would love to do that, man.
Yeah, dude. During the pandemic, when everything shut down,
Mhm,
I was the only game in town because I ran outside in New York.
mhm.
So uh, one of the wrestlers
Oh, you would
had a
wrestle, okay.
giant backyard, and I said, well, what if we just set a ring up? It can't stop us from being outside, and
Mhm.
I literally live streamed it to my YouTube. Got a lot of views, man. It worked, but a lot of these guys, and what I noticed, and this is no disrespect to any of the promoters, is they hear Fight TV
Mhm.
over their own YouTube channel and think that that's we're on live on Fight, and it's just like this, like because like the MMA is on there and a bunch of shits on there. I've never seen it. Like to me, I want to keep all the shit.
Mhm.
Like if you when you go through those guys, they keep your footage for at
Right,
least a
right.
year.
Right,
So
right,
like
right.
you can't do anything with it. And that's bullshit. Whereas if it's going directly to you, my YouTube or your YouTube, that's your footage now. So you get all. I mean, I know YouTube takes their cut, but you still get most of it
Dude,
instead of giving a giant percentage to Fight TV or somebody else.
we could also have other comedians doing guest spots. I mean,
Yes.
like, literally,
Yes.
like, I'll be commentating. We have one guy who's a straight man who's, he's gotta call the match as it should be.
Yeah. Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
like, we get a couple of guys coming in for matches, and they would draw. I mean, they would also draw, if I'm
Hmm.
sure Joe List would do it. If I got Joe List to be like, "Hey, dude, come sit in a
That'd be awesome,
match,"
dude.
it'd be
That'd be
great.
awesome.
I mean, so much people
Yeah.
would love to do it too and have fun doing it. I don't know,
Yeah.
man. I think we just created a great business.
Listen, buddy. This could be the start of a beautiful friendship together.
But yeah, but I get so mad because comedy is so not respected in
Nah, it's
wrestling.
bullshit.
Like,
Yeah.
dude,
Yeah.
Santino is unbelievable. He was so fucking funny.
Yeah.
The snake thing was hilarious, man. I used to love, the Hurricane, and I
He
was
was
like,
great.
when the Hurricane was doing his thing, you saw he literally hit a ceiling where they're like, "Nope, this is as high as
Yeah.
we will let you go." And I was like, "Dude, the crowd is backing this motherfucker.
Yeah.
Why
I
wouldn't you
believe that was
do
right
that?"
around when he started fucking with The Rock that they cut that off.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, when he got his peak and he did those promos with The Rock on Monday Night Raw, and people just were like fully behind the Hurricane, and then The Rock just literally kicked the shit out of him live on Raw, and like literally all that momentum that they had just started to build with him,
Yeah.
just and it was just.
It's such
I mean,
bullshit.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Sometimes you come up against that's the problem. They put him up against The Rock, and
Right,
that's hard. That's hard till he can't beat The Rock. Although if he did, I think it would have just added to the momentum for him,
right,
and you could have put like a mid card belt on him almost immediately at that point.
right. If he's
Yeah,
selling tickets, though,
yeah, yeah.
give him, because we know what this is about. It's about selling tickets.
Tickets.
And
Yep,
if you
yep.
could build this guy, he's got the momentum. If he's selling your tickets, dude, you can make him lose in a way. We all know this. Like, he can lose in a heroic way.
Hell
He's a
yeah.
he's a hero. Like, you could have the death of the Hurricane. Man, I was loving. I was fine. It was so fun, but they just don't respect. Who was the dude? You would know this guy. He was recent, um, like a British skinny wrestler guy. He was doing wrestling in a way, like, crazy ass moves, not high fly, very technical. Like,
Okay.
he put a guy in the egg. It was like an egg move where he like wrapped his leg and then he just like couldn't move him anymore.
Okay.
He was on that, not NXT. What was the cruiserweight thing?
205
He
Live.
was on 205 Live, and he was like a little British guy, and he was doing shit that was so wild.
Okay.
I thought it was really good, but then they fucking
I
buried him.
I don't know if you're referring to Pete Dunne or they call him Butch now.
No, no, I'm gonna look it up.
Yeah,
Uh,
some shit. Because there's so many of those guys now. There could have been Drew Gulak, who was very good. Uh, there is I always forget the British guys' names. I'm not gonna lie. To you. They smoke a lot of weed.
yeah, no, yeah,
Uh,
me too. Yeah,
so I always forget the fucking new guys' names because like I don't like I watch, but I watch from afar now because I'm too old.
sure,
All my heroes are gone.
right.
Like Undertaker, Brett, like all those guys that I grew up watching, Macho Man, Hogan, they're all gone. So like I'm not gonna sit here and nothing against Cody Rhodes and all the other guys. I like them. They're very
Ah,
talented dudes, but it's just not. I'm not gonna sit here and like be fans for them. Like I
I
just can't
know.
mark out for them like I used to.
Especially now that I'm like older than all these guys now.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. That's what it is, dude. Yeah.
So this guy's name was the gentleman Jack Gallagher.
Oh, Jack Gallagher. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And he was like doing some, but I was like, man, I'd never seen like this. This is unique what he was
Yeah.
doing. And they just were like, nope, it's weird. Get it out of here. I'm like, nah, you fucked up, man. You keep
Man.
going 2 steps backwards when you see people doing new shit.
Man.
Um,
I also noticed that Vince McMahon never really liked people to get over for themselves. Like he liked the full credit for
oh, right.
building them up. Because it happened with Zack Ryder too. Zack Ryder kind of did his shit on YouTube, and it really caught fire. And every chance they got, for some reason, they would just bury him. Every
Yep.
Monday night, he get beat up by Kane. This would happen. This, and I was just like, I don't know how much more this guy's got to do to try to show you that he can be a marketable, viable entertainer for you.
Right.
But you just because he did it and
Right.
you didn't, it's fuck off essentially, and they just bury you. They basically humble you
Well,
live on television.
I believe, and then, I don't know if it's just a similar thing, but it's about the same. I believe it's like, well, if you build yourself, right?
Yeah.
Like, the thing that they always do is like, they'll be like, hey, we're keeping your name. So you're just this, right?
Hmm.
So if you build yourself and they take your name and you're still, they don't get to own that. They want the
Yeah.
people who they can fully own and be like,
Yeah, yeah.
"Oh, well,
That just changed.
I heard a little bit there."
Yeah, they just, now everybody's deals, you can keep like all of it. The
Really?
name. I don't know about the theme song, but you can keep the name and all the yeah, you retain all the rights and everything like that. So guys like, I think somebody just left, they can now use their name that they had.
Dude,
So it's
I
good that they're changing. But I get it was all Vince. Vince was very he's a possessive guy. Everything's mine. Like this is I'm
right. As a toy
yeah,
collector, I look at
yeah.
these action figures on the shelves from guys from like 40, 50 years ago or 40 years ago, and I'm
Mm,
like, "You know they're not making any money off this toy.
no.
You know they're not, and you know that guy could use that money.
Yeah.
You know it. It's like it's so fucked up, man." Anyway, whatever. This is why I kinda don't watch wrestling anymore. I just get
Yeah.
as a comedian who, like, has been struggling to fucking make ends meet, and you get fucked by everyone, and I work
Yeah.
my ass off, it's like, I can't s I see it too much in other businesses where I'm like, "I don't know, man."
It's
Yeah, I don't
fucked
know.
up, man.
Yeah.
You know what it is? If it strikes a nerve or hits too close to home, sometimes you're just like, I'd rather just avoid it, not even watch it because I don't want to get like, I don't need to watch this and get reminded
Mhm.
of why I'm angry. You know, I'm trying to check out when I watch this stuff. That's why, like, a lot of times I watch wrestling. I told my wife I can't watch it no more because it's like I work like every fucking weekend. Like I gotta pack everything into the fucking car, go down here for peanuts,
Mhm.
listen to these promoters bullshit me. Like if I could tell you the story, I'm sure you've heard them too. I
Mhm.
don't even have to get into it, but like all the bullshit I've heard when it comes to like they want WWE level production,
Mhm.
but they don't want to pay.
Of course.
You know, like so it's like
Everything.
I can provide you everything you need. You want a replay, of course,
Yeah.
but you know how much that costs
Right.
you need an extra person. Like, I
Mhm.
don't need a whole because they have to be watching the feed and queue up the promo for the replay for me. Like, we were just doing a mixed martial arts company. That's
Mhm.
what we because we do that too now. And those guys, they like I said, they want all this stuff. They start asking me questions and they wait until the show starts. So now I'm sitting here live at the board editing,
Mhm.
and I got the owner sitting next to me. He goes, "I need to see a replay of that right now." And I just like looked at him and
Yeah.
I said, with all due respect, buddy, you don't pay for that.
Right, right, right. Right.
I
Yeah.
said, "You don't get that." I'm
Yeah.
like, You pay for that." And I literally explained to him why. I
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
was like, "I need an extra person. I need another setup here so that they have a feed coming directly to them. And
Right.
then they can basically chop out 30 seconds each. And then when I need it, they could queue it up." I was like, "You going to pay all that?" And he like literally looked at me like I got three heads. I was like, "That's why you don't got replays, pal."
Yeah.
I was like, "I don't know what to tell you, man.
Yeah, yeah.
It's crazy, dude." And so I kind of stay away from it too. That's why I don't watch it anymore. I'm just like, yo, I'm just so sick of the grind and hearing the bullshit that I can't even enjoy.
Right.
Like I
Sure.
can't check out and enjoy it. So it's just like I don't even watch it at all. That's why I got into toys, dude. Because I needed an outlet. I needed
Yeah.
something to check out because I couldn't do this no more. This wrestling shit every fucking day. And it led me to this. So I started doing a podcast, just talking to people in the toy community. I met a lot of people in the toy community, but you, like I said, you were always one at the top of my list because I saw your episode of your podcast with the Are You Garbage guys, and I saw that you collected toys, and then I saw that you gave a Foley a Mezco Destro.
Yeah. I don't think he cared either, which I'm like, dude, it's like a
I was
$80.
really mad. Dude. Yes, dude. I don't think that guy realized what he just gave him.
Right.
I was like, yeah,
Also,
yeah,
the whole reason I did that was because I thought it was funny to give him this insane figure and
yeah.
and then give Kippy loose cigarettes.
Cigarettes. Yeah. Yeah.
And
And
I
he
was
just
like,
took his thanks, man. And you were like, it's a really good
"It's a
figure.
really good figure.
Yeah,
A really good figure, dude."
it was sick, man. But how long have you been collecting toys, and what started your journey in terms of collecting?
Fun. So I stopped collecting toys for, like, 3 years in high school, you know?
Okay.
It's sort of like it's
Okay.
like I was a little boy and I had
Yeah.
toys, and then, I got a girlfriend in high school, and her grandpa collected, like, toys, but
Okay.
also I went so I remember it was, the year 2000, and I was like, "Man, you know what I want? I want a really posable Spider-Man figure." And remember the old, um you know, whatever it was called, you know, the gray packaging.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
it
The
was like
superheroes, the superpowers, or whatever it was.
yeah, it was like this it was like the first superposable Spider-Man. I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna go
Yeah.
find that figure." And
Yeah.
as I went looking, I came across Spider-Man Classics Spider-Man. And this guy shows me, he was like, dude, this is actually going to be way better. And he showed me the Spider-Man Classic Spider-Man. And it was coming out, like, he was like, dudes, these are kind of coming out like a week. Like, I got an early one. So I bought that. And the Spider-Man Classics, which I'm sure you know, are
Yeah.
the precursor to Marvel Legends.
Legends. Yeah, yeah.
So I got the first
That's sick, dude.
Spider-Man Classics figure. To me, my favorite figure. To me, the figure I have that like is the most important to me
Yeah.
is a yellow Daredevil. It was from the second. It was the first like variant they ever did, and he was
Okay.
a yellow Daredevil from Spider-Man Classics line,
Yeah.
which I remember think they said was like one in every 45 cases,
Oh,
and I
wow.
hunted that motherfucker down before Amazon, before any of that, and I
Yeah.
found him, and like he's probably worth like 20 or 30 bucks now because
Isn't
people
that
don't
crazy?
realize it was like a $500 figure at one point.
Figure. Yeah. Yeah.
But like to me, it was the hardest to get. Um, so I would say 2000s, and I had every single Marvel Legend that came out up until about like I don't know, like 2015, 2016.
Oh,
Like
wow.
when they started putting out. Oh, I could tell you when
Okay.
when the Hulk wave, the Fing Fang Foom Hulk wave was
Okay.
the
I
first
remember that one.
wave. I went, I'm not getting these because they were $15 each, and I
Okay.
went, you're out of your fucking minds if you think I'm paying $15 for a figure. Cut to, you
Yeah.
know, I'm fucking giving a testicle for a Shang-Chi. It's like I'm insane.
Dude,
So yeah, so that then
I
I
know
kind of
that.
slowed, and then I started getting back into it, and I started collecting heavy again. But they just started putting out so many figures that I was like,
So much
I
shit,
can't.
dude.
I'm
Yeah.
drowning.
Are you, are you still collecting now, or are you just kinda like, I can't right now, it's too expensive?
I'm not supposed to be collecting, but I am currently at the Borgata making stupid decisions. So I'm working the Borgata
Okay.
at the comedy show. So I'm here for a
Yeah.
week.
Hell
When
yeah,
I get
okay.
here, I get lonely. So I will show you that I hang on a second.
That's great, dude.
I went into GameStop and
Which,
found
by the way, is like the greatest toy store now out there. GameStop. I don't know why.
because of I mean, yeah, GameStop and Target. I like
I don't know, Target sucks, at least by
really.
me. Oh, yeah, it's
Oh yeah,
terrible by
yeah.
us.
No, that's true. I just go to Target because they have a Starbucks.
Okay.
Um, anyway, the missiles fell off, but I bought this
Stinger.
GI Joe Stinger
Hell yeah, dude.
at it was at GameStop.
Hell yeah.
And let's just talk about the kind of drugs I'm on. My wife and I, because I just had two kids,
Yeah.
I am I am on a major action figure diet, and we are not supposed to
Ah.
be spending any money. I just bought this as if there isn't one waiting for me at home that just got delivered from Amazon. So now I have two. I don't need two. I don't
No.
need one. I shouldn't have one. But I bought this because I'm a fucking addict on
Yeah,
the
dude.
road. And
Yeah.
now there is one sitting at my wife's parents' house because I had it delivered there by accident because you change your Amazon address by
Yeah.
accident. And I
Yeah.
have to just like, oh, it's baby food. I have to
Yeah.
lie again.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I might return that one. Or maybe I'll put it in the storage space because the GI Joe things have been going up in price.
Dude, GI Joe right now, I don't know what the fuck is going on. It is on fire right now. The way they are now, and it's funny because I don't know if you knew this, but they made that line hoping or thinking that it was going to fail. Because like the first two waves were just literally the only waves they were going to come out with. They had no idea there was this like
They're
want
stupid.
for. I know,
The
I know.
day I got a Spider-Man Classics figure, I went, I need a GI Joe to sit with my Nick Fury. I need this.
Oh yeah,
I
hmm
collected the smaller Marvel Universe figures
yeah.
because they were GI Joe size, and
Size,
so
yeah,
we've
yeah.
been waiting for 6-inch forever. And when they
hmm
put out that first line, and they were like, "Yo, this Duke looks like shit," and everyone was like, "You know what we want," and then
hmm
someone there went, "Look, I know what you want.
Yeah.
We'll try." And I think it was like Beachhead. I was like, I forgot which figure it was. It was like the first one that kind of looked like the
The
originals,
original, I think it
and
was
you
Beachhead.
just
Yeah,
couldn't get them. It was like
yeah.
and then we're like, "Oh, all right, we'll do more of this." And
hmm
it's like, this is what we want,
Yeah,
man.
and then they just went all in on the retro line now. So now they're coming out with all like the retro card
The
GI
inst
Joes.
I just keep cutting you off. I'm so sorry,
No,
but
totally fine, dude. Totally fine. Listen, I've always, like I said, I've been waiting for this talk for a very long time, but so you can cut me off all you want. That's it, all right. But I remember like I didn't like when I was a kid, GI Joe had just passed me because I'm 41. So I
okay,
started Ninja Turtles was my
sure.
kind of like introduction into cartoons and toys and all that other shit. So I just missed GI Joe, but I remember like the early '90s line where it was all neon and everything
Oh,
was
yeah.
fucking crazy. So I remember all that, and I just thought GI Joe was stupid. So when they came out with this line, I couldn't give two shits. Like I didn't
Right.
care, but I got into action figure photography and diorama building,
Mhm.
and at that point, I needed I'm like I have Iron Man. How many times can he beat up a Hydra agent?
Right, 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 right.
So I'm like, I need so I'm sitting here one afternoon, like I need him to beat up mercenaries or
Right,
something like a military force. And I went to Walmart and I just happened to see Gung Ho.
right.
He was on the
Fun.
wall, and I just grabbed him. I was like, "All right, this guy looks like a mercenary. He's got a Marine tattoo on his
Yeah,
chest, whatever." So I bring him home, take him out of the box. I start fucking with him, posing him, setting him up to get beat up. And by the end of just doing that, I had then gone back to Walmart to buy the whatever else they
right.
had. Like I was just
Sure.
like, I'm all in on this line. Like so, I never really like I tell like when I have so many GI Joe guys come on this show,
Mhm.
and I tell them straight up, like, I don't know none of the names, the lore, the vehicles. So if you start going off on a thing, you're gonna lose me. You're gonna have to bring me back because I have no idea. Because like I said, I just thought it was a good mercenary thing. Now all of a sudden, I'm learning. I'm watching the cartoon. I'm reading up on them. I just started getting the comic books.
Yeah.
Like so, like this is it as crazy as it is to say. I never thought in my 40s I'd be talking to another grown man about collecting toys, and not only that, we're getting GI Joe, He Man, like all these toys that when I was a kid, I thirsted for but couldn't have because like
You're right.
we were fucking broke as a joke as when I was a kid. So I didn't have like this. I think that's why I have this addiction now is because I couldn't have any of these as a kid. So now that I have my own money, I have my own source of income.
Yeah,
Whenever I see something I want, I'm like, I don't do drugs. I don't do anything
yeah,
stupid. My money's got to go somewhere. So let's bring in this $184 SUV truck.
yeah. So can I pause you real quick? I wanna tell
Yeah.
you, the reason I started collecting action figures was because I was straight edge and I didn't drink, and all my friends
Mm.
would go buy alcohol at the bar, and I was like, "Well, if they're getting alcohol for $8, I can get a long shot figure, and I get to keep them." So
Oh
that
yeah.
was my thing, and
Yeah.
then I started drinking and doing drugs, and now I just do all of it. So it was a problem, and I'm just like, "Fuck."
Yeah, dude. The worst is when you get baked. Because when I get baked, I go on Big Bad Toy Store or I go on Hasbro Pulse, and
Yeah,
things start just my account all of a sudden magically just $100 just disappears out of it, and I don't know why, but 3 days
right.
later, stuff shows up to my house.
That's
I
the
don't
best.
understand it.
Surprise Christmas gift from your high self?
Hell yeah.
That's great. It's like, "Hi, Tony bought me something." That's nice.
For real, dude.
Yeah.
For real. Like I just got, like I said, just got the Vanguard from Valverse. Do you collect any Valverse?
I don't collect Valivers because, my rule in life was always I was like, only Marvel Legends,
Okay.
and then because I was like, if you go out of line, if I start getting out of different lines, it's too much and I'll be
Yeah,
overwhelmed.
yeah, yeah.
But then I slowly started being like, "Well, I'm gonna do Star Wars and GI Joe,"
You have to. Yeah.
and I don't do them. I might get now I'm at a point where it's like just cherry pick.
Yeah.
The
Okay.
the
Okay.
Valaverse stuff looks cool, but I'm not a fan of just straight soldier toys.
Okay. I got you now.
The reason I like GI Joe is because it was so fucking goofy. Like,
Hmm.
dude, they had a football player who had football grenades. I'm like, that's amazing. Captain
Yeah.
Gridiron, you're out of your mind,
Yeah. Yeah.
dude. The crazy at big boa. It's just like a
Yeah.
fucking.
You
Also,
have that figure?
I do. I have the big
Yeah.
boa. I just got him,
That
but
was awesome.
Um, did you know Roddy Piper was the Cobra trainer,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and of course Sergeant Slaughter,
Sorry, just I just got this one. I'll show you.
the blue one.
Yeah. Yeah. It just came from Amazon a couple days ago.
Wow, that's pretty
Mad
quick.
Mad Marauders. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm very happy with this Sergeant Slaughter because Valivers tried to do their own version
mhm,
and it didn't look bad, but it ain't this one. The Sarge looks a certain way, especially when he
yeah,
was in the cartoons. He was just a big bull motherfucker, and they nailed him on
yeah.
Hasbro. You know,
I pre-ordered the Valaverse Slaughter because was they announced him before they announced the GI Joe
yeah,
one.
GI Joe one, yeah, yeah, that's why I got him.
Yeah, and then when the GI Joe one, I think they were like, "Fuck that, we're putting ours out first."
Yeah,
His came out, I got him, and I like canceled the order on the other one. It took him
yeah,
a very long time for that Sergeant Slaughter, the
Slaughter to
Valaverse
come
one to
out,
come
yeah,
out.
yeah. A Valivers, I just met the owner
Oh,
last week at the convention.
mhm,
Great dude. It's a great line. Like if you're like for action figure photography, because this is what happened with me. I don't want to go backwards, but when I got hurt, basically the doctor told me I can never wrestle again.
yeah,
So I just had to find ways to kind of like not go completely insane because I couldn't
yeah,
do the things that I wanted to do anymore. So photography and filmmaking became like that's how I started the production company
Sure.
that does the wrestling shows. Um, and then photography, I just didn't like working with people.
Right.
Like I just have bad social anxiety and shit like that. So like I don't. That's why I smoke so much weed because I just
Mm.
don't like be around people. So I discovered action figure. When I started getting action figures, I discovered that web the Facebook ACBA
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
articulated comic book art,
Yeah.
and I didn't even realize that that was a thing. Like you could just set your toys up and take a picture. Like what? Are you kidding me? And as soon as I discovered that, off to the races, I went. Like that was I didn't like there was no more. I had the same rule you had. Just Marvel Legends.
Mhm.
Do not deviate.
Mhm.
Just stick. Marvel was your nostalgia. Comic books, superheroes, especially Wolverine and the X-Men. That's where you stay.
Mhm.
And then all of a sudden, like I said, by gung ho, now I have Marvel, GI Joe, He Man, Ghostbusters. I mean,
Yeah.
the list goes on and on and on. It doesn't stop. Like just now I got into fucking Power. I don't even like Power Rangers, Greg.
I know.
And now I'm getting Power Ranger figures. I
I
don't know
know.
why. It's just
I
like
know.
what the fuck is happening,
I almost bought the Mezco Green Ranger. I don't give a fuck about Power Rangers,
dude?
but
I
I like
I
Green Ranger. He's
almost
cool.
I almost did the same thing you just
Yeah.
did.
Yeah, why not?
Because I'm like I'm doing a bunch of shit, and I had this idea because they for some reason I don't know why, but the Power Rangers line came out with a Ninja Turtle crossover.
Oh, yeah, yeah, I saw it.
Okay, so the Shredder is might be the best Shredder figure I've ever had. Now I have a few of them. I have the Loyal Subject Shredder. I have the NECA Shredder, but this Ninja Turtles Lightning Power Rangers Lightning Shredder, best
Do you have it
posable
around you? Can
Shredder.
I see it?
Yeah, yeah, it's right here.
Because I'm kinda in the market for a good shredder right now.
Well, I'm telling you what, I'll even make my screen big so you can.
Oh, he's got like a Power Ranger these okay, I see.
Yeah, but it's the best posable Shredder I've ever had. And the helmet is awesome. It's mixed with the dragon, with
Who
the
did this?
Green Ranger.
What
This is Hasbro.
Hasbro.
Yeah,
Whoa,
Hasbro's Lightning line, Power Rangers Lightning
okay.
collection. He's on big BBTS, I think, for $24 right now. So he's not that expensive. But the best shredder I've ever had. That's
Dang,
how the Power Rangers started. Because he came, I was like,
okay.
holy shit, is this what the Power
You
Rangers?
unlocked. Once you unlock one, now you got
Yeah,
unlocked. It's like, well, now I need the
yeah.
whole team. Can't have Duke without Scarlet. Fucking can't have Scooby Doo and not the fucking van. Now you're buying a $500 van.
Dude, I refuse to buy anything from NECA in terms of dioramas and vehicles because they are just insanely priced.
Really?
Oh
That
yeah.
street level thing I bought for $80 was like unbelievable.
That's rare to see it that cheap.
No, when
Because that
I got it when it first came out, so I
came
don't. I mean,
out.
I'm sure
Yeah, yeah. I don't know
maybe
about
it was
now, but
100. Maybe it was
I
$120.
think it was 120.
All right, so you
Yeah.
might be right. Okay,
Yeah,
so
because they don't do nothing less than one when it comes to diorama piece. Like I don't know if you saw they're coming out with the Beetlejuice like strip club diorama looking thing.
I did
Like, there's
not know that, but that sounds awesome.
yeah, that's coming out from them, and I think that's like $300. That's not
Wow,
cheap. But I like that's another thing when it comes to dioramas. Once I discovered that you could literally just build them
I know.
yourself,
Yeah,
that was it for me in terms of buying like pricey dioramas and shit like that. Especially like I'm a big He-Man guy. I don't know if you're a He-Man guy.
I'm an
I have a
everything guy.
Okay, so I have the Masterverse line,
Mhm,
which is like the 7-inch line over the retro line. I didn't like the retro toys when I was a kid, like so
mhm.
I don't really collect the retro line. Even though I do have He-Man and Skeletor.
We got them.
Oh yeah. But the Masterverse line is awesome, and I noticed that they made the Gray Skull and Snake Mountain and Eternia playsets for the retro line, but they ain't making no playsets for the 7-inch line. So I was just like, that's a travesty. So I started making dioramas, and that's how I got into dioramas. I'm like, oh fuck it, now I love doing dioramas now. I don't need.
Let me ask, which
Yeah.
was the line? So there was a line that you had to be a member to get them first. It's probably like almost 10 years ago now.
Okay.
It was a He-Man toy line that to get it you had to be part. It might have been like Matty Collector. Um,
Might have been.
and
Yeah.
then they made the fucking Grayskull that was like $500, and then they
Yeah.
did the Snake Mountain. It was that line, but that line of He-Man was unbelievable. I thought this is what you were talking about. So now maybe I'm not sure which is the
That
universe you're
was
talking.
that was
Which
Mattel Classics. Is I
okay.
think the one you're talking about, and then they stopped that line and sold all those molds to Super Seven.
Oh, they did? I didn't know that.
Yeah, so that's why Super Seven. If you look at Super Seven's figures, they look like those classic He-Man line. I think is it's all the same. They sold the molds and shit to them. and
Mm.
they never update. Like if you buy Super 7, dude, it's the same exact articulation as it was when you're
I
just
don't
talking about.
fucks with Super 7 yet.
No,
They're like they be charging some prices that I'm like, "What are you
I
doing,
will
buddy?"
give you a literal warning about them. You can, it's a pricey figure, and there's a high probability. I'm not saying there's 100% high probability that it will break on you.
Ugh.
Yeah, so just when you get I was very wary with Super 7. I bought Lion-O because I'm a huge Thundercats guy,
Mhm.
and no one is, for some reason, no one wants to make a cheap line of Thundercats. I don't know why. So I had to
Yeah.
go to Super 7 and spend $60 on him. And when he came, I very disappointed. He had, like I said, that He-Man Classics articulation, which wasn't that great.
Mhm.
The paint apps were good. Like he's great face sculpt and shit like that. But like I was worried, like the hands and like the pegs, you're worried about snapping off. It was
Right.
just something that I just didn't want. Like I put him back in the box and I just put him away because I was just like, I don't want to fuck with this guy and break him.
Can I tell you a
Yeah,
crazy Lion-O story?
sure.
So, every now I don't have a ton of fans, but I have some fans, it's nice. I This guy messaged me, he's a big fan of my comedy, and I'm like, "Ah, I love this. He's a sweet guy, we're talking about you, he's a great guy, his kid's named
Yeah.
Tanner." Uh, and I don't know how we got into it. He was like, "Oh, my dad is the voice of Lion-O."
Oh
And I
shit.
was like, "What?" I'm like,
Yeah.
"That's crazy." And then he's like, "Yeah, and my sister is, um, Kenny from The State." Do you remember the sketch show The State? Well, you would
But
know
very
her.
vaguely.
You ever
Yeah.
watch Reno 911?
Yes.
So, all of those people were from The State.
Okay.
I don't know why I'm blanking on her name. She's, like, one of my favorite, like, comedic actresses. Kinney is her last name. She is the, like she's in the show. She was like she got pregnant, she's skinny, she got the short hair. You've seen her in, like, a lot of
Yeah.
comedy things.
Yeah.
Um, I had no idea that was like, "Oh, her fucking dad is Lion-O." And I'm,
Lion-O.
like, talking to this guy, he's, like, a sweet guy, and I'm like, weirdly, the 2 people in your family are some of the biggest influences of the 2 biggest things in my life. Like I'm a big action figure guy, your dad was fucking Lion-O?
Lion-O.
That's insane. As a comedian, your sister was in The State changed my life
Yeah.
comedically. Um, but
Wow.
anyway, so for my birthday, I got a video from, from Lion-O, from
That's awesome.
Tanner's dad, and I was like
That's awesome, dude.
and I was trying to be cool about it. I was like, "Tanner, man, thanks. That's really nice of you. I appreciate it." But in my head, I was like, "This is the fucking coolest thing that's ever happened
This
in
is
my
the
life."
greatest day of my
And this
life.
dude is so cool. He's always like, "Yeah, man, cool. I love it, man. Thanks for doing comedy." And I'm like, "Yeah, man,
Hell
it
yeah.
was wild. Great guy." Shout
Hell
out
yeah.
to Tanner. I'll probably tell
Tanner,
him this
yeah.
later. He's a
Dude, hell yeah, man. Lion-O's dad. Like, I mean,
it was
that's awesome.
yeah.
Like, every day of your life, you wake up and you look at your father and
Kerry
say,
Kilkenny. That's right. Sorry. Kilkenny.
is that the name?
I think so. Yeah. I don't know why I get nervous when I'm because in my head I was like, I know Tanner will probably listen to this now, and then I
Yeah.
blanked on her name and I got scared. That just happens. But anyway, he's a great anyway.
Hell yeah,
Um,
dude.
yeah.
All right, so what, in terms of cherry picking, you say you cherry pick now.
Mhm.
What are you looking for? Like, I noticed you picked up the Stinger, so obviously GI Joe is on your radar. Are the new Marvel Legends on your radar? Have you been collecting the 85th anniversary line?
Depends, right? For me, I'm literally on like a 0 action figure diet.
Yeah,
Like,
because the
I
kids, all
really
right.
gotta save money, we
Yeah.
gotta move, all this bullshit is happening.
Uh-huh.
Something has to be amazing.
Okay.
So right now I do Mezco because
Mm,
I love Mezco. I love and
yeah.
also Mezco comes out so rarely
Mhm.
that I can get one and then, it's not Marvel Legends where there's 50 everything.
That's true.
Because I have almost every single Marvel Legend, they rarely put out figures that I don't already have
Mhm.
a pretty good version of.
Yeah, yeah.
But they did recently put out um, 2 figures that I've been waiting on. Um, I used to do custom. So you do dioramas. I used to do
I
customs.
do, huh. Okay, awesome.
And so my big thing was I love Luke Cage. I'm a huge Luke Cage fan. And I made I made so many Luke Cage customs. And then when they put out one of the Luke Cage figures, they actually used my recipe. Not that they who knows if they saw it,
Oh,
but it
yeah.
at least made me feel good to be like, "Oh, this is as good as
Yeah,
it'll be."
yeah.
So recently, they just finally put out
The
the
2-pack.
yeah. I wanted a street clothes Luke Cage. I
Yeah.
wanted the classic jeans, yellow shirt. Give him the rings, give him a necklace. I want that. Um, so I got that, and then I also my favorite X Men, probably one of my favorite X Men runs was Astonishing
You got the Wolverine.
Joss Whedon, and I got that Wolverine. That was another
Yeah.
one I was waiting on.
Uh,
And I also am a big fan of this. I don't know if you see the ramen toys.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
I got the fucking
The racer?
the racer,
Mm,
um,
dude.
but
I'm
also they're
about
putting
to
out an A-Team van that I'm so
I'm about
excited
to
about.
yeah, this Saturday it goes pre-order. I'm definitely jumping on that. I want the all black one for the Punisher.
Yeah,
Yeah, because
yeah.
I just pulled the trigger on that, War Journals 2-pack
What's
that
that?
came out. Punisher and Bushwhacker.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah, that one's coming out, so I was just like, "Yo, you have that Punisher and that van." I mean, could that did not be more of a perfect match?
Yeah.
So I have to. I mean, a lot of toy people that I've spoken to are all gunning for that van. So I gotta make sure you pull the trigger on that pre-order quick.
I don't think he's gonna sell out. I think they're gonna
I
make his
hope not.
because they seem to make them.
Yeah.
I mean, put the pre-order, then make them. So I don't think he's gonna cap it, but I'm definitely I talked to him on, on Instagram because I talked about
Awesome.
him on another podcast, and he was like, "Oh, I'll send you the van to review." And part of me is like, "Oh, I would love to review it." But I did message him. I was like, "Hey, man, I just wanna promote what you're doing because I love what you're doing. I'm
Oh, yeah.
not looking for free shit." Um, because you're like a small in my opinion, I mean, I would imagine he's a small company.
Oh, yeah, you
I'm
know,
like
he's a very small company, yeah.
and I love what they're doing, and I would love to just use what I can to push
Yeah.
that. But if he sends it to me, part of me is like, "So does this thing get to stay with me, or do I got something
I
back?"
assume so. If he sends you one for a review, yeah.
Yeah, but I would send it. I think it's like a prototype. I'll probably send it back
Prototype you
to
have to
him.
send back. I don't know, dude.
I don't know. I don't care. I don't want to.
Yeah.
I don't want free shit from small companies. I
Yeah.
want free shit from big companies.
Yeah. I think the one person that said anything about like I like ramen toys. I love everything they do, but I do notice that if they don't get the license, they just change the name, but still do it.
Yeah,
Like they were supposed
they're
to like make
scumbags.
yeah.
I love it. I love it, dude. I was talking
Yeah.
to someone the other day. I was like, "Are they gonna do the A-Team van? Because that's like a thing." And he was
Yeah.
like, "You can't copyright a red stripe." And I was like,
Yeah.
"I don't know, maybe you can. I don't know."
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm happy that he's doing it because that just gives me incentive to customize my own A team
Yeah,
because I've always wanted A team figures. Like right now, like I said, I'm like you. I've literally hit the cap. I mean, how many more Marvel Legend variants can you have of the same figure? I know that the new ones that are coming out, like the body's updated, like they have the butterfly joints and all that shit, and it's cool. Don't get me wrong, but like I already have 3 Spider-Mans. Do I
yeah,
really need a new one? So to me now, I'm to a point where I want to get into the kit bashing, customizing part
right,
of action figures because I want ones that I know you're not going to come out with, or
right,
ones that might not come out in the future. And like the only thing that I can fall on is 80s TV shows and movies.
mhm,
So I landed on the A Team, Axel Foley, and Tango and Cash
right,
because that Vanguard truck from Valiverse looks like the souped up Blazer from
right,
Tango and Cash.
right.
So as soon as that I pulled it out of the box, that was I was like, oh my god, I need a fucking Tango and Cash action figure to go inside this goddamn thing.
Yeah, of
So
course.
like, and now I'm thinking in my head like, oh, I think you're done like chasing. Cause like the thrill of the hunt is great. I've chased the stores, but like I told you, up here by me, Target, Walmart, it's literally just an empty space.
Right,
You walk in, it's just empty. You go to GameStop, you might score something cool,
right.
you know? But like in terms of going out and hunting, those days are gone. You just gotta buy everything online. And even then, like these the bots or whoever the scalpers, they go on, they buy 10 at
Right.
a clip. I don't know
Yeah,
if
man.
you heard.
No, I'm furious because I still can't get a GI Joe Ferret or Tiger Paw.
Yeah, I can't
Impossible to
find
get
them
both.
anywhere.
I'm
Yeah,
like, "Are you
yeah.
crazy? Like, why is a ferret $250 online? It
That's
just
bullshit.
came out."
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. And you know what's crazy is the fact that you go to any Target and you'll see 50 of those Tiger Force 2 packs
I
of
know.
Roadblock and Tripwire. And it's like, why the fuck is this overloaded,
Right,
but not what you knew
right.
would sell look like crazy, which is the ferret and the tiger paw. I'm just
Well,
baffled at
the
their
trouble
business model sometimes.
the trouble bubble, I did see a lot of Tiger for or Python Patrol trouble
True, yeah.
bubbles, so maybe they were like, "Ah, this didn't sell a lot, maybe whatever."
Mhm.
I don't know.
I don't know, man.
But let me tell you
I
about oh, sorry.
yeah, no, no, please go. Well, tell me about what?
Marvel, Marvel Legends. I'm not a hater. I love the
No,
things
yeah,
they do.
yeah,
They do things like they do the classic things that annoy me, like sell. I'm waiting for a Cannonball figure for years, and then they sold us one without legs, and I go, I know you're going to sell me with one with legs in 6 months, but
yeah,
you're making me buy this one first, and
yeah,
I'm gonna buy it because I'm a fucking sucker. But I'm furious that I'm buying it. Right?
yeah,
They do things like that, but then I'm like, how have we not done a battle damaged Spider-Man? How are we this far in? And the last time I saw a
yeah,
battle damaged Spider-Man was Spider-Man Classics. Why are
Yeah.
we not getting why are you not, like, taking weird risks? Like, here's a street clothes line where we go,
Mm.
"Here's Captain America in his street clothes. Here's a street clothes line," right? Whatever. Or there's all these little things that they can do, and one of the
Yeah.
things I think they can do that I know they would never do, but I would take a lesson from Lego, is that there's a big thing that Lego did where people were doing, they were putting out, their own, like, blueprints for, like,
Oh, wow.
architecture shit and designer
Yeah.
stuff, and instead of Lego being like, "No, shut this down," Lego went, "There's money here. We're gonna put out the designer series," and they did. If I honestly think that Hasbro should just be like, "Hey, we're gonna put unpainted heads or accessories on. Let the customizers flourish.
Yeah.
Let's
Yeah.
push the customizers because that's a whole other outlet of action figuring that you could get people into." Like I
Facts.
love doing it, but there's a ton
Yeah.
of people that would love being like, "Yeah, man, sell us some parts so we
Yeah.
can make our own figures."
No, dude, I would be all in on that because I right now I'm chasing down 3D printer guys all over now. "Hey, can you got this head, you got this." If they were to do something like that, there'd be a huge market for that because I'm noticing that customizing too within the community is becoming a big thing because people are impatient. And they don't want to wait 7 months for an Alpine figure. They'll
Mhm.
just customize their own, and I think you should because you're good. A lot of times with these figures, they just repaint the same figure anyway.
Right,
And they give it to you anyway. They just say, "Oh, here is Crocmaster," but he's just the same fucking guy painted. I think it
right.
was like Roadblock or some shit. Somebody's body gung ho.
Dude, the Bucky cap buck was used for 80% of the line for, like,
Like,
10 years.
yeah,
And it's like, you just keep reselling
oh,
us
yeah,
the same fucking figure,
yeah,
right? And
yeah.
I'm like, I get what you're doing, you have to make money. And I get that if they're like, "Oh, if we let people customize, maybe then they wouldn't buy the official figure." But it's like, you don't
Hmm.
even have to just do you could just be like, "Hey, here's a bunch of different color shirts that you could buy," or like whatever, or molds or
Yeah,
like now you can make your Uncle Gary or just one body that's really easy to take apart. And here's
or yeah,
parts that are easy to take apart that are easier to take apart than regulars, but it's in sync with the Marvel Legends line. Like I think they need to look at the customizers as a source of money that they if I'm finding something on eBay, you're losing money. And they realize
facts.
that. I
Yeah,
remember because you would look at all the figures on eBay. I remember Ares build a figure, it's
mhm,
$300, Ronin $300, and then 6 months later, they're selling Ares. I know they were watching what figures were selling on eBay and then re-releasing them
re-releasing
because
them. Yeah,
why not? That's your money. You should be making that money.
yeah.
But there's so many companies that are making wired capes, just dudes in their basement making
Hmm.
wired capes.
I'm one of them.
Hasbro, you can be making yeah, you could be doing that. That's
Yeah,
your fucking money.
yeah. Dude, I said that about because McFarlane started now. A lot of his figures have wired capes for $24.
Right.
And I was on another show, and I said to those guys, I said, "Why is it that McFarlane can do it, but Hasbro won't?" Like they came out, and this pissed me off, and to no end. They came out with the Cabal 3 pack with Doctor Doom, Taskmaster, and Norman Osborn, Iron Man. And Doctor Doom has a wired cape, but
Wait,
Taskmaster
what?
still, yeah.
Where is this Taskmaster 3? I wish you could pull things up. I've
No,
never
yeah,
seen this.
it's a Cabal. It's called the Cabal 3 pack. It's just came out as a part of the 85th anniversary figure
What?
line that they, yeah. And Doctor Doom has a wired cape, but Taskmaster still has the stupid plastic
Right.
vinyl cape, and it just dries. Like you gave one, why didn't you do both? Like
Right.
I just don't understand it. It drives me fucking crazy. I cannot stand the vinyl plastic capes. I
No,
think
that's
they're
stupid.
so stupid. Yeah, I just was like, why would you deliberately give me something that is going to make the figure fall backwards constantly because it's too heavy? Like
Right.
Thor's cape is too heavy.
Right.
It's like, give me a wired cape or I don't need the wire. Just give me a cloth cape
Right.
just so it does not so goddamn heavy on his back and he doesn't fall over.
Right.
That and then to mount it into his shoulders, dude. Like, are you kidding me?
Right.
Because now like I have to destroy this poor figure in order I gotta like rip this fucking thing off instead of
Right.
just giving me pegs for it to pop right
Well, they
out.
sold us a Doctor Doom that couldn't sit in a chair.
I
I mean,
know.
Doctor Doom
Yeah,
needs a throne. Come on,
yeah,
stop it. Now, I also wanna say, like, I do like the fact that these people at home can make a lot of money, like, make some money, like, selling, doing their
yeah,
own thing. So I
yeah,
don't want, like but I mean, Hasbro, stop selling us they know like, here's the thing that gets me mad about these guys. I'm not a big hater,
yeah.
but
No, yeah,
we are addicted. We are drug addicts. They know that. They know they got us by the fucking balls. They know we're addicts. You know you're a drug dealer. Like, you're not breaking the law. Just be kind to us. Like,
Yeah,
just don't fucking take every fucking cent because you know these figures don't need to be $30.
they don't.
You know
No,
they
no.
don't because they. But I you saw it coming. They were like,
Mhm.
let's try one. Oh, they paid for that, and they were looking at eBay. They were like, hey man, if this guy's buying a phasing Vision for $40, we can sell a figure for 15. And they knew, and they just
Mhm.
keep going up. They keep pushing the line. When these Mondo Ghostbusters are coming out, they're like $200-$300.
They're $200 a piece, and then they're when they come out solo ones, because 'cause they're gonna come out with solo versions, those are 101.
And that's the thing.
Yeah,
They know, like, let's try. And then some people will buy it. But
yeah,
then, because they're not going to have a long thing, then they're going to be $800. And then
mhm.
psychos will buy that. So now people are trying to buy them because they think they're trying to make money.
Yeah, yeah.
And then which pushes all the fucking money.
Dude, that's what happened with that stupid, exclusive Cobra Commander, the Once a Man, the
Oh, yeah.
snake one,
Yeah.
where they had to release 2, like, like, 2 days, and they fucked up and let people get 5 at a clip instead of the standard 2,
Yeah.
and that's why it was such a blunder, and they knew who was buying 5 at a clip,
Right.
because then, like, 2 minutes later, you saw them on eBay for
Right.
quadruple the fucking price, and listen, I lucked out. I had somebody who went and got one for me, didn't even tell
Hmm.
me. Just
Hmm.
I It
Sweet.
showed up. It was great, yeah. But all the people that I did know who got fucked because they were waiting on Hasbro,
Yeah.
it's fucked. Like, listen, say what you want. Like, a lot of people for some reason they have they do not like Bobby Vala and Valaverse because he's got like an issue with Hasbro. He used to work at Hasbro, got fired, and now he talks
No,
shit.
that's awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's a whole thing.
Now I like
And
him.
yeah, it's dude, he's a great guy. I have no issue with him. He's fucking hilarious. So anyway, these fucking his figures, right? They're $30, but they come with so much shit.
Right.
So they come with like 7 hands,
Mm.
like 8 pairs of hands. They come with multiple guns. He also has cheap loadouts that you can buy. Just comes with a vest, couple guns,
Right.
some blast effects. Like, he's coming out with stuff where you're like, all right, I can justify paying
Right.
$30 for this figure because if I want to and it's fully customizable. All his heads are interchangeable. He has one
Right.
neck peg, so you can switch everything out. You could pop the arms out. Like, he's basically making it for the customizer. So he's like, I know
See,
you're gonna customize this figure, but so here.
I love Marvel Legends, and I also know
Yeah,
that
I do too.
the
Yeah.
designers and all those people we see, we know they're not the people who are in charge of pricing, I'm
No,
sure,
yeah, yeah.
But I will say, like, just do something for us,
Yeah.
like, just be like, "Hey, you get 5 UPC codes,
Yeah.
you can get a California raisin," or whatever the hell, you know what I mean? Like, just do something to say thank
Yeah.
you to the fans, because we are paying out the ass, and
Yeah.
it's a labor of
Dude,
love, and they don't
I
do shit to
dude,
say thank you.
I think you might like Valaverse, because he has Action Force points that you collect, and then you go and get a figure for cheap. So you turn them in just like the old GI Joe shit, where you get some points, you submit them for like and then like I think it's like a special edition, like his main guy, I guess, where or his Duke
Mhm,
variant figure.
mhm.
It's like in like a Hawaiian shirt, it's kind of like Chuckles
Oh, yeah,
from
love
GI
Chuckles.
Joe.
Yeah,
And if you get like 15 Action Force points, you only got to pay like $15 for the figure.
it's
So
great.
he's doing that kind of stuff already. And like I said, why is a, a third party smaller company doing all the stuff that you just suggested, but the multi-billion-dollar company that basically
Because
said
they're
to
run
us,
by people who love it. I mean,
I know,
that's with
yeah,
the ramen toy guy, you could
yeah,
see in the Hell Charger
yeah, yeah,
how much they cared. Like,
mhm,
there's so many little things that you go like, "Oh, man," like the gas tank comes out and you could plug the charge you could charge it
yeah,
through that. I'm like,
yeah,
"Oh, you gave a shit on this."
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
that's what matters, and I think that a lot of those guys you could tell the Marvel Legends where they give a shit. Like,
mhm,
you could see you could see they're like, "Oh, here's 40 guys that are just repainting new heads," but
mhm.
then, like, man, like, Luke Cage looks awesome. The
That's an
Sentinel,
awesome,
the Galactus, like,
yeah,
where they have like, they do shit and you go, "Dude, that's why I love the GI Joe line."
yeah,
The GI Joe line still, you can see that they really love the figures as they're coming out, and I'm
yeah.
like, I mean, this Stinger this could have been a HasLab, like how detailed it is. I think
Now
they're
how do
doing
you
a good
feel
job.
about it? How do you feel about HasLabs? Are you okay with funding them, or would you rather them just kind of come out with it and put it on the shelf without lights and shit like that for maybe a little cheaper?
Um, I hate it, but I love it. I mean, it's hard to say, right? I
Yeah,
love the idea that, like, um, we could I love the idea that there's a big one coming every now and again, and that's exciting,
yeah,
but I hate that they're like, "Well, we can't do it." Yes, you can. Yes, you
yeah,
can. Yes, you can. You could put it on your website, and
for
then
sure.
once you get 10,000 people, then you make a batch, and
Mhm.
then if you get another 10,000, you do, but they don't. They know it's all about FOMO, and they're using that marketing against us, which is fine.
Mhm.
Look, it's like, look, at one point it's fun, but you know when it's not fun? When I want a second Sentinel. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I can't put up I'm not buying 5 Sentinels in one go, but I would like a couple of Sentinels.
Those,
But
yeah, absolutely.
they made the deal where they're like, "Well, you'll never do them again." So it's like, "Well, then fuck me," right?
Yeah, yeah,
Like, I don't like that aspect of it. I'm not a business guy, so it's easy for me to talk shit here and
yeah,
be like, "Well, here's why that would never happen."
yeah,
But I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's a fun strategy, but I'm looking at this Stinger right now, and it was $100.
yeah.
And how much different is this than the Rattler's gonna be? I
Well,
mean, or Giant Man, I don't know.
yeah. You didn't back any of those, did you?
I bet I'm getting 2 Rattlers. Yep. I'm getting 2 Rattlers, and I'm gonna so the HasLabs I get because I always get 2
Okay.
because if you sell 1, I can sell 1 and it
Make
pretty
the
much
money back.
it's yeah, either I don't pay for it my whole
Yeah,
thing is I don't try to make money off of the HasLabs,
yeah.
but I do try to get them to pay for mine or
Yeah,
take a big
basically, yeah,
chunk
yeah,
out of what I paid.
yeah.
Um,
I got all 3 so far. So I got the His Tank,
yeah.
the Dragonfly coming, and I obviously backed the Rattler as well. I have a Vamp and a Stinger as well.
Mhm.
I'm noticing, and I don't know, I'm assuming this is a problem for you considering that you have a storage unit now, but space is
No, yeah.
working against you
No, it's
at
done.
all costs, right?
That's the main thing. That's the main thing why I stopped
Yeah,
collecting is it like I'm drowning in toys and it's an issue now where it's become too much, where I don't enjoy
yeah,
it anymore because I don't selling them is overwhelming,
mhm.
and I don't wanna be a full-time eBay seller. I'm a fucking comedian,
Yeah,
and I don't wanna, like, lose money by
yeah,
just putting them out whatever. So my thing now is I've completely stopped except for 2 Rattlers and 2 Stingers,
yeah,
just until I get under I'm selling a lot more now just
selling, okay.
because it's nice to purge. And here's the thing too, and I'm gonna say this, and I don't have much more time left because I have a show
No,
and
yeah,
take a
definitely,
shower, but back in the day, I would get things because if you didn't get it, you'd never get it again. But we
yeah,
all need to acknowledge, and I think we're starting to realize, anything you want, you will get.
in
And if
time.
you miss it, you will get it again.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
look,
a fact.
there's no Sentinel? Okay. You don't think Ramen Toy or some other guy ain't gonna show up and be like, "Hey, guys,
And
Imma make some fucking Sentinels for everybody."
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like, or the Ares Build-A-Figure was one of my favorite Build-A-Figures. He was so hard to get. They put him out, and that's when I read it. I went, "Oh, they're gonna just keep putting and it's gonna be better, and it's gonna be better." It's like if there's something you want, you'll get it.
yeah, yeah,
You'll get it. Or the one thing that you can't like, there was an MDX Joker figure
okay.
that I sold for like 6 or $700. Like, it was the most expensive, but when you have a figure that is worth that much, I'm like, "Well, now I'm stressed having it because if it breaks, I'm mad."
I'm pissed, yeah,
So I
yeah,
was like,
yeah,
"Let me just sell it. I'll have the money, and it'll fund my action figures going forward."
yeah,
I sold it, but it was my favorite Joker figure, and I'm yet to see one as good as that.
yeah,
But there are a couple bootlegs.
mhm,
I can call you to make me a jacket or
oh,
to,
yeah,
or whatever,
yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, you
yeah,
can kinda do it, or it'll be the one figure that I go, I'll pay the big price for
it's
this.
a big yeah,
I'll
yeah, that'll
pay
be
the
your guilty pleasure, essentially.
this will be the this will be the one where I go, "I'm gonna work so hard on my next special that I
Yeah,
make a lot of money, and I'll buy that figure
it's
back."
a gift to yourself, it's like congratulations, essentially.
Right. But I mean,
Yeah,
like, as far as I'm going, I've been collecting for 24 years. I have enough shit in a storage space that it kind of funds itself.
yeah. Well,
Like,
let me ask you this, though, so we can close it up.
yeah.
Um, do you see yourself collecting till the end, or do you see a shelf life where you're finally like, "I will not buy another thing again?"
It's hard, man, because right now I'm getting to a point where I'm a little like, it's not as fun as it was.
Mm,
It's
yeah,
not
I
as
see
fun,
that, yeah.
like, because I don't have space and I got these 2 kids and I love
Yeah.
them, and I'm like and because I just see the greed in the companies, it's a
Yeah.
little like, "Oh, it used to be fun, man. It used to be a little more fun going to the stores." And also, the internet ruined it. I mean, I used to be in these Facebook groups with people who I loved, and I'm still friends with so many of them to this day. I mean, so many of these fucking dudes I'm still in these messages with, but then Facebook changed, so groups are harder for me to I don't understand how to use the app anymore.
Yeah.
Um, and then everyone we would go in these groups and be like, "What do you want?" And we'd find it for each other, we would help each other out.
Yeah, yeah.
And those I mean, those some of those messages, we still hook each other up, and we try to, but everyone now is trying to make money off of this. Everyone is like,
Everything,
"I got this
yeah.
figure, alright, I'll sell it to you 600." And you're like,
Yeah.
This isn't why."
This is now, yeah, I didn't come here for that.
And one more part of that is
Yeah.
I always try to be like, "Oh, man, you" so I get Mezco's, I have a I don't know if I should say this, but I review them, so I get a discount on
Oh,
them.
nice. Okay, okay.
So I get them a little cheaper, so if I keep them and then someone needs one, I'll be like, "Oh, man, I got it." But I
That's
had a
awesome.
dude who wanted a figure, friend, I sold it to him for, what I paid,
Yeah.
and then it was like a month later, he was selling it for like 400 bucks. And I was like, "No, man, I'm not this was because I'm trying to, like, help
Yeah.
you, and you
Yeah.
need to help s the if you don't want it, fine, but pass on the savings."
Yeah, pay it
You know?
forward.
Pay it forward, dude.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
he saw me as a kind of internet friend and was
Yeah.
like, "Wow, I can make money off that." I'm like, "That's not why I
That's
did
yeah.
this."
Yeah, it's fucked up, yeah. Yeah.
But
Well,
it is what it is.
yeah, but I've noticed that too. You're never gonna there's always gonna be a guy out there trying to, like, "Oh, wait a minute. He just gave me this for this.
Mm.
Now it's all profit." You know?
Yeah.
Like, so
And I get it, and I'm not
yeah.
mad, but I
Yeah.
wanna end on a high note, but I will say
Yeah. Yeah.
companies like Valiverse and the ramen toys, these are what's keeping me excited,
Yeah. Hell yeah.
um, and, I'll still always go into the toy aisle. I take my kid into the toy aisle now, and we look, and I love
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Like, "Look at this," and it's
Yeah, man.
I'll always and it got me through so much shit. It got me through, like man, like, when I was doing comedy and making no money and
Yeah.
couldn't fucking eat,
Yeah.
I'd be like, "Well, Imma double not eat today, and Imma buy a Spider-Man figure," and it would make me kinda feel good in the
Yeah.
darkest times of my life.
Yeah.
And
That's one thing I noticed about action figures for everybody is it's always like a safety net. Like when people get one, they feel like this instant sense of safety or like comfort. It doesn't matter if they're struggling, doesn't matter if they're flush with cash. When they get that whatever toy they want, immediately get taken to that safety net.
I hate to do this because I really have to go, but I won't stop talking.
Yeah.
I talked to this I had a podcast with this ADHD doctor. He was like
Okay.
wrote a bunch of books, and I was asking him if he thought I had ADHD, and he was like, "Yes, look at all those toys." And I was like, "What?" And he goes, "ADHD people we have a dopamine problem, right? We have
Mm,
and action figure getting an action figure is a quick, immediate dopamine
I
fix.
mean, facts. Yes.
But for me, it's a healthy one for some
Mm,
point because to some people it's fucking sex or drugs.
yeah.
But if I'm like in a weird rut, I can walk into a Walgreens and just
Mm,
get myself a fucking star,
Moon Knight.
Moon
Yeah.
Knight, or who's been sitting there for 9 months and be like, "Hey, at least I got" like, I'm on the road right now in a hotel room, just, like, kinda bored, but I bought this action figure, I'll sit in the car, I'll do this, I love it. I'm like,
Yeah. Fuck it.
got me a thing, and I feel good. I love
Yeah.
it. I don't know why I love it, but I love it, and I'll probably always love it.
Hell
It's
yeah, dude.
when I sell a bunch of shit, I'll love it more, but
More. Yeah.
I have to purge. I gotta
Yeah.
purge.
I get you. Well, Greg, it was an honor to speak to you. But like I said, I'm a huge fan, big fan of yours for a very long time. I never thought I would be able to sit here and talk wrestling with you as well as action figures. So I was very happy about that, dude. Thank you so much for hanging out with me, man.
Also, you should be embarrassed for how long it took you to message me. I
Yeah,
mean, you're
took me a
sitting
while.
here being like, "You've known me since then?"
Yeah,
You messaged me, I responded in 3 minutes and was like, "Yeah, man, I'll do it. I don't give a fuck."
I was shocked by the
Yeah.
way it took you that quick. I
I
was like, holy fuck, he answered. I was like, God damn.
I am accessible in a way that is, embarrassing to myself.
Well, I appreciate your accessibility, buddy. Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
no, I had a great time, man. It
Yeah,
was really great talking to you. Let's get
yeah.
this wrestling league started.
Buddy, I'm like dead ass. I'm dead. It's happening probably by the end of this year. So
All
like
right.
we keep in touch on you on Instagram. I will definitely keep you posted, and
Mhm.
I will definitely let you know when we will talk out all that details and stuff like that to get you up. Because if you can come with some comedians. I will. We will put you on the mics. I will gladly. I'll make it work. Trust me.
Yeah, I got ideas too. Also,
Hell yeah.
I can promote it on, do you know
Yes,
Sam Roberts? He
I
does
do.
yeah, I love Sam.
He's great. A great
I know if
comedian.
I told him I wanted to do this, he'd be excited.
Hell yeah. There's a couple wrestling fans within the comedy community that I would love to work with, and Sam is one of them. So
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
hell yeah.
Mike
So
Lawrence, another comic who loves wrestling. Anyway, that's
yeah,
it. I appreciate you having me on, man. I really had a great time, and I'll do this
yes.
anytime you want. So just
Hell yeah. I will
oh,
definitely because I definitely want to have you back when you don't have to jump off, man. So I would love to talk to you longer.
yeah, yeah, sounds good, man.
Awesome.
Alright, are you gonna end this? Because I do have a question I wanna ask you off air.
Yes, I'm wrapping up right now. Find Greg at all his channels: YouTube at Greg Stone, Instagram at Greg F Stone, and on his website at gregfstone.com. That is Greg Stone. I am Tony. This has been Talking Figures. Until next time, keep playing, everybody.